G'day everyone and welcome back to another Fusion 360 tutorial. In today's little lesson here, we're going to talk a little bit about constraints and how to use them, what they can do, and how you can actually get started working with them in Fusion 360. So here I am, I'm in an empty Fusion 360 file here, so I'm just going to click on my front here and we're going to go into creating a sketch. And basically what we're going to do here is just draw some random geometry. And well, first of all, before we do that, let's just talk about the constraints panel here, which you can see. So we've got horizontal, vertical constraints. And as it says there, the good thing about Fusion 360, and this is why I like it, is it does provide you with a lot of help in terms of understanding. So what does it say? Constrains a single line or 2 points to lie either the vertical or horizontal axis, whichever is closer to the current alignment. We've got the next one, which is a coincident. Constrains the position of 2 points or a point and a line or curve together. This could be a point constrained along the line, 2 points constrained to each other, or a point constrained along a curve. Here we have a tangent, which constrains a curve and another object so that they touch at a single point but never cross each other. And they go on. And I don't need to go through those, but you can kind of go through them in your own time. So let's just create some random kind of shapes here. I'm going to come up here, coming out, coming back. All right, so I've created a random little shape there. How about I try to, okay, here's my design intent. I'd actually like this line here to be horizontal. I'm going to click on the horizontal constraint here. It's both the same, horizontal, vertical. And I'm going to click on this line here. Now, because this line is at an angle that is less than 45 degrees, it's therefore going to determine that that is going to be horizontal. So I'm going to click on that, bingo, and it's done that. All right. Now, what if our design intent was that these two lines here, these two pieces of geometry, were always going to be parallel to one another? And listen to the words that I was saying there. The intent was that the lines, these two lines, should always be parallel to each other. Well, I could use this one here, parallel. So I could actually click on that line and click on that line. And we can now see that these have a little constraint there, little constraint there. So not only is it horizontal, but it's also got a parallel constraint on there as well. What else could we do? Let's put a dimensional constraint on this. I'm just going to hit the letter D. Okay, what about a dimension between here and here? And let's pull that across. And we might make that, let's make it 50 millimeters, sorry. There we go. We've made that. And now you can see that this line here is black and this line here is black also. Got two lines that are blue. Well, those lines that are blue basically mean that I can adjust things. It doesn't have any information that informs it as to what it should be. For example, how long, what is the distance between these two? There's no dimensions on any of this. In fact, let's put a dimension on this line. Bottom line here is the one I'm looking for. Oop, no, I'm still selecting two. Let's click off D. There. Okay, we're going to make this, let's say 120. Okay. Now, the question is, what happens with this line here? Now, I can't pull this line, but it's still blue, meaning it doesn't, and the reason why I can't pull it is because, hey, 120 millimeters, it's locked there. But I can pull this corner here, can't I? Look at that. Can I pull this side? Okay, yeah, I can. So it still needs some information. Why don't we try putting an angular dimension in here? We're going to hit the letter D. Escaping, hit the letter D. I want to measure the angle or define an angle in between these two pieces of geometry. So I'm clicking there and I'm also going to click there. Okay, it's telling me that it's 66.39 degrees. How about we make that 70 degrees? Enter. Okay, you've got that there. Well, what can we do on this side? So we've put a couple of dimensional constraints. We did a horizontal constraint here. What about I try and make this a vertical constraint? So if I go up to my horizontal vertical constraints here, now because this line is greater, or this angle is greater than 45 degrees, the assumption by the software is going to be that we want this to be a vertical constraint. So I'm going to click on it. Boom. Hey presto. Look what we've got. We've got 120, 50. Knows that this angle should be 70 degrees. We've got a parallel dimension in here, which basically means that this and this line here should always be parallel. What happens if I put in another dimension? If I put in a dimension here, adding a dimension will over-constrain. So it already knows enough information about this piece of geometry that we've drawn just with those dimensions and constraints that we've put on there. If we do put in this dimension here, adding this dimension will over-constrain the sketch. Choose OK. It's going to put it in brackets here. Now, can I change this number in here? Let's see what happens. If I double click, see, I can't double click on this number. I can't change that number. I can change this value. You will notice that the above one adjusts because that's driven by this. I'm just going to delete that dimension there. Again, if I wanted to change anything, I could make it 80. I could make it 30. 45. That's just a little lesson about constraints. Remember, the aim when you're creating your geometry is to make all of the lines black. If any of the lines or any of the geometry appears to be blue, then it is not fully constrained and you need to work towards actually defining those constraints and putting them on your drawing. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense to you. Yeah, that should help you with any future drawings. Thanks guys, I'll see you in another video.